Intro.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117. Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out.
Hello and welcome to Koalatea Time, the Koala Entertainment Podcast. I'm Skylar Sokol.
I am Anthony Nicolosi.
That was better.
Nailed it.
I think
That one
you
was even
nailed
better.
it. It was nice.
Yeah.
Today, there's been some recent news coming out from our boy Gabe.
For those who thought, like me, that Valve doesn't actually do shit in their office, it turns out at least some of them are doing something.
It turns out that instead of not doing shit, they're doing extremely strange, obscure projects that apparently people think are going to be popular.
I guess so. And by that, we mean the Steam Deck. Steam Deck.
Wow.
Steam
wow.
Deck.
Just immediately? You just immediately went there, huh?
Jeez. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, by the way,
Well,
I learned a really cool trivia fact today.
okay.
I learned that there's only that Kentucky is the only state in the country that begins with a K.
Are you sure about that?
I think so, right?
There's got to be a joke. There's got to be a trap here. There's got to be like, you say like, you know, the letter what, and then boom. I knew I was getting set up. Just pretend Lynx asked it, and you just say it to Lynx. Don't say it. What a podcast intro. Yeah, if you're listening here for this time, this is how almost all of our podcasts start.
Yeah.
An amazing trap joke.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it's not a trap joke. It's just a fact.
There's no way.
No,
There's no way.
seriously. It's a fact that I learned.
Well,
Anyway, if you think of any others, you let me know.
okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
The chat is already letting us know where that was gonna go.
Anyway, so the Steam Deck. So when I first saw the Steam Deck, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Why would anyone buy this? This is stupid. And then
He actually literally did say that because we were at barbecue when the news broke, and that's literally what he said. He said, "What the fuck? Steam just released a Switch." Yeah.
Yep. And then I looked at the specs and I was like, the specs are good, but still, why would anyone buy this? I don't know who the audience is. And then I saw the pre-order numbers that came out. Apparently there was an HTML bug in the Steam pre-order page or whatever the pre-order page was for the Steam Deck. So a guy was able to actually get some of the pre-order data out.
Oh,
and he saw that shit is fucking selling, my dude.
really? Is it? What was the? Did you remember what that number was? I know
while
that
you say your
everybody on
initial
Twitter, dude. Everybody on Twitter was fucking. It was like a PS5, Xbox Series X kind of situation. Everyone was trying to hit that. What's it called? Like reserve. You know, like you could like reserve it or something for $5.
Yep.
Everyone was spamming it. Nobody could hit it. You know, and
For the first 90 minutes of the system's pre-order period today, as limited to shoppers in North America, the UK, and the EU, Valve's database coughed up exact pre-order numbers thanks to Q metadata appearing in public viewable calls to the HTML version of Steam. During that time, the creator of SteamDB, a dude who knows his fucking shit, kept track of the tally, and the publicly reported queue for confirmed pre-orders exceeded 110,000 units across those three sale regions for the first 90 minutes of the pre-order window.
yeah, I believe it.
In addition, that count was solely limited to only the two more expensive Steam Deck models, the $530 model and the $650 model. So that did not even include any pre-orders for the $399 model, which I would have expected to sell even more copies personally. So,
Oh yeah, I'm sure they hit millions of pre-orders, no doubt.
that I
No
don't
doubt.
know, but at least
110,000 the first 90 minutes? Yeah, dude, they hit millions. And they didn't even include that 400 one. I don't know. Can you even get the 400? Anyway, maybe we should start out first, like, even just I think my initial reaction was similar to yours, as in like, Steam is for PC people. Why the fuck would a PC person want this? This is such a like downgrade of an experience compared to their elite setup. And then I started thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, well, first of all, we had a lot of people on Instagram hit us up. The notorious Tobes himself, who is a big, big Switch lack of meaningful Switch upgrades critic, was super excited about the Steam Deck, saying, "Hey, this thing's got more horsepower. I can play my, my AAA and I don't know, indie games." Like, the question of like, when is this indie game coming to Switch? Like, in a sense, has been answered for him and for some other people I saw on Twitch, because now you can play it on the deck.
And our dude, he plays like, I've like played my Switch in handheld mode and had a good time like once. like
no, me too.
I just don't know who plays. Dude, there are really people in the world who use their Switch in handheld mode all the time and think it's a fun gaming experience.
So, my wife plays it exclusively handheld.
Nice.
Brittany plays it exclusively handheld. But
she played Breath of the Wild handheld?
Whole thing.
That shit runs at like 30 FPS. It looks like
she
trash.
played the whole thing on handheld.
What?
I don't think it was 30 FPS.
Yeah, it downscales like significantly on handheld mode.
Well, maybe the resolution downscales, but the frame rate wasn't that ass. Maybe at moments it gets ass, maybe. But like, anyway, where my mind went to when I started thinking about this is game venues. Okay, we've talked about it before. The games people play and the technology they use to play it changes as time goes on, but the places they play them don't. Right, and we've talked a lot about how the main venues we usually talk about are the Reading Nook. This is where mobile games shine, and quite frankly, I think is going to be a big topic here in this discussion. This is where the Switch in handheld mode shines, the Reading Nook section. You're sitting on your couch, you're chilling. Then there's the workstation. This is the hardcore PC gamer, maybe more serious console gamer setup. You're at your desk, you've got your tower or whatever set up, and you're the workstation. You work, we talk about it, right? You're working, you get off work, you can immediately just like jump into the game literally on your workstation. And then finally the hearth, which is like where consoles, especially like we've talked about, we feel Nintendo really shines with their like family local co-op modes and all that kind of goodness. I was thinking about it. The reason why I think I felt so like it wasn't going to land with the PC audience is because I think of them as a workstation audience. So what the fuck are they going to want a Reading Nook device for? Like, that's basically like what I thought. But then I was thinking, well, maybe this is for the people who have wanted those workstation experiences to come to the Reading Nook, the people who have enjoyed like playing their on Twitter, it was the dads of the world, the gamer dads of the world, who now have to sneak in games in between taking care of kids and play on their couch.
Sure. So but I guess like there's other technology that lets you do that. Like you could just do that with a laptop and a TV in your living room.
So, here's my perspective on that, because I do the laptop thing, right? I have my laptop. I use it in places like on my couch where I am on my couch, strictly on the laptop. It's not hooked up to anything. And I'll tell you, it's annoying to play Rocket League or Halo on it if I'm trying to, because I have to like, it doesn't like lay on my
No, I'm talking about like plugging your laptop into your TV and using the TV as a monitor and then like connecting a controller to your laptop.
Which I think is kind of like the mounted Switch thing, right?
Well, and that's
it's like we were talking about, like, why would you not do that? I agree with you, like totally. If I played the Switch, it'd be always in its dock. But yeah, man, I don't know. There's people who prefer that Reading Nook. I know for my wife, it's like it's more comfortable for her. It's more comfortable for her to like hold it like this and like whatever, blah blah blah. Then like, there's no kids in the way of that, there's no, The experience is like kind of more direct. So I don't know.
Interesting.
The more I thought about it, also, this is technically kind of now like the Xbox Switch, because all of the Microsoft first party studio stuff is coming to Steam's coming to PC. And so like I'll actually be interested. I don't know if Xbox was working on a handheld, but like this is going to make them have to really be deliberate on some kind of facet.
Microsoft was working on a handheld.
That makes
no sense.
Gut feeling they're not.
Business model.
Yeah. Gut feeling they're not. But just to say, like, now if you want to play Halo Infinite on the Switch, like you kind of can. Except though, I think we should bring up something that I asked you about on stream that I think you can like really highlight for people. The deck is going to come with SteamOS installed, just based off of Proton, which had like my initial question to you was like, yo, how like a lot of these first party like PC and Microsoft Xbox games use DirectX APIs and blah blah. Like, how is that map on top of a Linux system?
Yeah, so SteamOS is a Linux-based platform, Linux-based OS. Now, according to Valve, they have said they believe, or at least I read that you can install other OSs on this thing. I haven't seen any data about that or like instructions, or whether
you could,
whether that's gonna be legit and or whether like that's like sort of a pipe dream.
What the gotchas will be,
right? Yeah, but presuming you can't do that, and we're just stuck with SteamOS, what I read about was that there are some major problems with SteamOS and Linux, which is mostly that, as many of us may know, very few video games work on Linux. Very few. And more nowadays than ever, but still very few. So Valve...
Yeah, that's where my mind went to immediately.
Right. So Valve has designed this tool called Proton, which is based on a tool called Wine, which if you're a software developer, you probably are familiar with, because that is the tool you run to run a Windows program on Linux and have it run on that operating system. Because you can't just take a Windows program and run it on Linux. That doesn't work that way. So Proton is like a super souped up version of Wine that can run these Windows programs, so you can run a Windows game on SteamOS. The issue here, though, is that a lot of games, multiplayer online games especially, which maybe isn't the target audience for the Steam Deck, maybe they don't care that much about multiplayer games, but a lot of multiplayer games have very sophisticated anti-cheat systems nowadays. And Proton doesn't really have what it needs to like build the operating system backend required to support these anti-cheat systems within these games. So what I read in this article is that at least currently with Proton, Steam did say they're trying to make an upgraded version of Proton for the Steam Deck that will hopefully solve some of these problems. But like 5 of the 10 top-selling Steam games can't run on SteamOS, i.e. PUBG, Apex Legends. Do you remember what else I said? I don't remember, but tons of most games with anti-cheat that are not like Valve games.
Rainbow Six
Siege, yes. Siege, Apex, and PUBG are 3 examples of games that cannot run on SteamOS Proton currently. So unless something changes, some of the top-selling Steam library games won't even be playable on the Steam Deck, let alone third-party games.
Right. Yeah. Unless, so like the thing I'm thinking is like, okay, true. Like, so given that circumstance, what are your options in that case? If you can install Windows, you can install Windows, but that's going to probably cost money, right? Like,
you have to buy a Windows license for sure.
You're going to have to buy a Windows license. So people need to like have that expectation in mind. And my guess is that as we approach,
and honestly, it can't be easy to install another operating system on that thing, dude. Like, it has to be like you're basically doing like because does it have USB ports? I don't even know. If it has USB ports, then you would probably need to do like a flash drive OS install and like reboot it to install. I don't know. It's definitely not going to be like a trivial like hit one button and it installs the new OS kind of thing, right?
No, I mean, shit. I don't know the specifics of this hardware and how it will go, but 2 things. One is based off of our experience just at our job doing similar things. That shit goes wrong a lot of times. Yeah. I'm assuming, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they've thought about that and whatever architecture requirements needed to like make this thing go smooth as possible have been accounted for. And I'm sure that's one of the first things you'll see like content creators do when they get their hands on this kind of stuff, right? Is like, I hope
I mean, my
It's like-
feeling is like Valve's going to be like, hey, this thing runs SteamOS. We support it on SteamOS. You can install other shit, but we don't support that, and we don't care about that. Like, you're on your own if you try and install other operating systems, but you can do it. That's what I suspect will be their strategy when it comes to
Well,
that.
and so that goes to my second thing. If I was somebody, I'm not interested in the deck. If I was a person interested in the deck, or if I was talking to somebody who was interested in the deck, I would highly recommend waiting to find out like what the reality of playing the game you want to play on this thing is,
Right.
especially if it's a multiplayer game. This comment Skylar just made about the anti-cheat measure, the anti-cheat incompatibility issues with SteamOS is a real thing. If you're buying this and you're like, oh, I can't wait to play fucking Apex on this thing,
Fucked.
and you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, so
I mean, if you want to play single player games and you like this handheld setup, I think
Right.
this will probably work great. I don't see any reason why this won't work for that. Yeah, but when it comes to multiplayer games, it might get a bit more complicated. Especially like I can't imagine like how are you ever gonna run fucking Riot Vanguard on Steam?
Yeah.
Like you're done. There's a 0% chance that Valorant ever runs on the Steam Deck. I'm putting that out there now.
that would be interesting. No, but those single, I think it is cool that you suddenly unlock a Switch-like experience for all of these like smaller indie games. Like I was just thinking of like, I'd love to play Portal on this thing. That'd be something I would play on this. I would play. I like just installed Journey. I'd play Journey on this. The KO Koala game would probably be fun on this.
I don't know. Like, I get such a worse experience from like a small screen. Like having a large screen is so important for my immersion in single player games and my like diving into the universe that I feel like I would really dislike those experiences for me personally.
Yeah, I do. I don't know. I totally agree with you. Like, I would never, ever, ever play like Halo for the first time ever on one of those things. Never, ever, ever, ever. But would I play Halo, all the old Halos now that I've already played them a zillion times on it? Totally. Like,
sure.
It's like what, you know, if I've done it on xCloud before, and I'll be honest, this just seems like a, in the constantly evolving landscape of gaming hardware, you have like maybe now at the low end, you've got these like cloud-based services on your phone, like from an experience perspective, that's like the lowest tier in my opinion. Then maybe you have these like handhelds, and then you get like into consoles and gaming PC setup. So I don't know if in a way it's creating this like fourth little niche in the gaming hardware, you know, segment in between cloud devices and consoles. And I don't know, like I guarantee you a part of the reason Valve's like took this on is because the Switch has sold like fucking phenomenally, you
It's
know,
true.
like the market decides, you know, in what people want or not. And the Switch like keeps selling like insanely.
No, you're right. But I mean, my argument for the Switch sales is that the game library is so good and not that the console portability aspect is what's selling, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I feel like it's a definite combination of the two, personally. Like, I think the games have, like, obviously, did you know Breath of the Wild is still, like, top 5, I think, best-selling Switch games still,
Yeah,
you know?
It's crazy.
I mean, just to say, yeah, the games have been fantastic for the Switch, but I do think the hardware, in a lot of ways, like I said, I feel like it's tapping... look, like I almost get more of a Wii U vibe from the deck than I do a Switch. Like the Switch is the current iteration, so that's what it gets compared to. But I feel like it's more like a Steam Wii U, honestly.
Sorta.
You know? I mean, maybe it doesn't, just because it's not like the Switch has have you looked at it like compared to the Switch? The dude who was holding it in an IGN? It's a big boy. It's a bigger boy. Sure. It's a bigger boy. I don't know. I feel like the Switch is so tiny, so nimble. It's more reading nook, and this is more like it's trying to be there, but it's definitely bigger. It feels more like Wii U did to me compared to the Switch.
I see. You're just talking about size. We got 2 questions from the chat from Unicitin. Do you know how to pronounce that dude's name?
Unic Titan, Majin Titan from the Discord, yeah.
Majin Titan, I know him. Do you think that the Steam Deck will allow for extra storage ports like the Series X does because the current storage seems ridiculous? So the answer is no. It has these 3 storage options. Those are the only options. The port
Really?
is there and replaceable, but Valve has recommended thoroughly against replacing it. I'm assuming because the hard drives they've picked are very well compatible with the rest of the hardware in the system, so replacing it would not guarantee you the same level of performance that the things that are default in there give you. But that's basically what I read, is that no, these things are the storage, and this is the storage that comes standard on this thing, but it is replaceable, but you shouldn't do it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So there's no expandable SSDs,
No.
SD card?
No.
Wow.
I don't think it's
What the-
possible, not with the size of this thing. It'd be very hard to add that in.
Man, yeah, keep going. I thought I saw a slot on it, and so I was like, oh, okay, it has SD card, but it must have been something else.
I also don't think that the read speed of SD cards are fast enough to support the modern requirements of PC games.
So I'm just looking at the specs list here from Windows Central, and it's saying the Steam Deck supports expandable storage through SD cards, meaning you can grab one and slide in to make room for more games if you don't have a model with an SSD. So do some of them not have an SSD?
Yes, the cheap model does not have an SSD. But I guess I don't know.
Shit.
So maybe you can do it through SD cards, but at least what I read is that you can't replace the hard drive, maybe, is what I was reading, and I misunderstood.
So maybe that's what. So if you get the model that doesn't have the SSD, you're not going to get an SSD, is what they maybe are saying.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
Okay, well, it's good they have SD card. That would be fucking ridiculous if not.
Well, I don't know. I feel like SD card is a terrible hard drive way to play games. Like, the Wii load times are bad.
I agree. What, you're going to probably fetch it into RAM, some of it, more than usual, so that it's not so super shit?
Because
I'm not sure how they go best. I agree, though.
Yeah. Unique Titan also says, do you think they would also make the Steam Deck able to be plugged into a TV or monitor like the Switch? That is, they have already announced that is a feature that exists with it, and there is a dock even that comes with it, I believe, that enables you to do that.
Yep. Yeah, the pricing options, that $400 price point is just for marketing reasons, because I feel because you don't have the SSD, 64 gigs, you can't install any of the big AAA. Of course, you can install a fuck ton of indies, and don't you worry, fam. The KO Koala game will fit on a 64 gigabyte.
We currently think so, at least.
Yeah. Just until we put in all the microtransaction content, then it will probably on disc. I'm just kidding.
All of that ultra HD texture images of Link's Potter's face that you can apply to various elements of the environment.
Yeah, that's in the Easter egg of that one place. Yeah. In that one section.
That's gonna be 50 gigs on its
own. But 64 gigs is a joke for AAA games.
Absolutely.
So I feel it's a little bit of a decoy, just for marketing purposes. So you're looking at 530, if I remember correctly, and 650, right?
I think so. And I mean, the specs are great for those price points. They are really the specs are good. I'm impressed. And Valve even announced themselves that they are not really.
Gabe said
you can say it.
Gabe was he said they had to suffer to get it down to that price point.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised.
It's priced aggressively. Yeah, I agree. Because it's got 16 gigs of RAM,
right?
It's got a nice. I don't know it's 530 and 650. I'm looking at it right now. The top two having SSDs as well, and also the most expensive one also has premium anti-glare etched glass.
That's right.
No fucking idea what etched means, but
it's premium.
I don't know, man.
I'll be interested to see the performance specs for some AAA titles on this thing when we get those. What kind of FPSs it's getting, what kind of settings it can run these games at.
I feel one of the first things I saw was damn, that joystick's way up there. Because if you have the joystick way at the top, and I don't want to use their touchpads, they also have paddles at the bottom.
Yeah,
so it's am I going to be like this?
I don't. Or are you just
I don't know. It could be
on your lap and just gripping the joysticks with your hands from above.
The IGN guy looked like he was okay with it, and he said it looked more comfortable. And there is this bend on the edge of it, so maybe it's great, but that'd be like one of the
Yeah.
first things I'd want to know. Is it comfortable to hold, especially like if it's a bigger boy? I mean, it's 2 pounds. It's not
1.5,
huge.
1.5.
1.5. So like that's not big, but I don't know. What the Switch is like less than 1, so I'm not sure how it will feel. That'd be one thing I definitely want to know.
Lynx wants to know if you can connect a controller. You can. Although I mean that's like kind of silly, but then again we come back to the Switch and the Pro controller, right? I use the Pro controller way more than I use the Switch's default control scheme, so
Yeah. And there's the main demos, if you will, of it, were showing like this guy was just essentially using the thing as his computer, and like he just had it in the dock, and then he had his like keyboard and mouse hooked up to the monitor, and he was
Sure.
like, that was his laptop.
right. Well, and that is another use of this thing, right? Like just like the Switch,
Yep.
you could never use it in handheld mode and just use it as like a relatively cheap but pretty good PC.
Yeah.
You know, like
I
don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'm just like, I don't know. At $650 though, I don't know. I guess 650 is not enough to have like a really meaningful gaming PC, but I feel
no,
like
definitely not. This is way better than any PC you could build for $650.
yeah, it's pretty good, you know. So I think a big part of my initial lack of enthusiasm and maybe continued like apathy towards it is like I'm not the target market for it. I like that's basically like I'm going to use this thing while I go take a dump kind of a thing, right? Like, and I don't have $650 to spend on that experience, you know?
Right.
So, I'm not the target market for this, but I think it's really cool. There's a ton of excitement around it. Like I said, this could go down as like maybe like whenever after we release the game, 6 months after we release the game, we're like, hey, turns out like 80% of the people who play the KO Koala game play it on the deck. So this could go down as like something great personally for our studio. We might really benefit from this, but I'm not as a strictly consumer of it, super enthused. I think it's cool. Other people are. And I do highly recommend that if you're looking at it, especially if you're thinking to play some of these like AAA multiplayer experiences on it, that you should wait and find out what the reality is of like just Windows installation realities, or just like hold out and see if they have this new updated version of Proton for SteamOS that's better with anti-cheat. You know, I would keep those things in mind if those are the kinds of experiences you're looking to play on it.
That was a nice YouTube video you just recorded.
Boom.
Nice one.
You know?
Nice one. You just summarized the whole conversation. Got that 1 minute clip. I saw it. I saw what was happening there. I understood.
Bang.
You just should have ended it with subscribe and follow, and then it would have been perfect.
Any other thoughts on that?
My only thought is if the Steam Deck sells well and it gives Valve enough money to make more games, then I'll be a happy boy because I think Valve makes great games and I would love them to make more.
Same. Oh, no, there is one other thing I wanted to say. I feel like this could be good for indie studios because I feel like a lot of games are good candidates for Reading Nook experiences, and that this maybe helps that kind of Reading Nook demographic become exposed to those PC games. Because like I said, I don't feel like the initial disconnect with Steam is for the hardcore workstation people, and this thing is for Reading Nook people. And so now you can maybe bring Steam to the Reading Nook people and help them find games they love.
Yeah.
And I think indies could benefit from that.
Yeah. I think we'll see. We'll definitely see. And I'm sure we'll talk about this again once we know more about how it's received and what it's looking like. So
yeah.
With that, we have a Koalatea patron, KO Koala.
Do you have it pulled
patron question from
Bang.
Our boy, a literal goddamn X-Wing, whose name is what?
Dash Dash.
Thank you.
Otherwise,
is Dash Dash, who says, should more and more platforms and companies use cloud services to provide games? Cloud is useful when you haven't enough storage, but you need a stable internet connection. So it's sort of a toss-up.
That's what he said?
Yeah. That was his full question. So should we get what do we think about cloud services? Should companies and platforms be supporting cloud services? What do you think?
Oh, I don't. So some benefits that I like about streaming service, definitely like the accessibility of gaming on the go. Once internet bandwidth gets better, like once that situation's better, that'll be a cool thing to have. The other thing I like about cloud-based gaming is that, I mean, whatever these kinds of services is like what Xbox is doing, where I can try out a game in the cloud before I install it. So I think it could kind of bring about a resurgence of the demos and or at least the idea of demos, and I think that's a good thing. And I do think that, again, in bringing the what's it called, the more traditional workstation experiences to the, quite frankly, vast reading nook audience, because
Because of the mobile
that's
gaming audience.
yeah, the mobile gaming audience is such a larger demographic than the console space, and probably even PC space combined, because of the just proliferation of that fucking, everybody's got a mobile device. But like, that's a good thing too. So for those reasons, I support cloud services.
Nice.
So I would say yes, that it's good to have them, but I guess the way I would say it is like, it's not trivial to implement. You need some serious technical infrastructure to do that
Yeah,
well.
definitely. It's definitely restricted from that front. And then your consumers also need serious technical infrastructure from an internet perspective, right? Like,
Yeah.
cloud gaming is not like, it's not like a revelation for like lower income people, I guess, looking to get into gaming, because it requires you to have good internet, right? So it's not like suddenly we're like bringing new people into gaming who couldn't game previously, unless they have like provided internet or something that could support it. But
That's an interesting perspective.
I
I'm
was
not
gonna say
really
it's,
sure
it's like not that, right? It's just like another avenue to play games. And I mean, to me, like, if the experience of the game isn't negatively affected by playing it in the cloud, then I don't care. Like, I'll play it however I get the easiest and best experience, right? But I definitely don't think the cloud gaming technology is at that point yet.
Yeah, I feel like, for me, it's personally like what the point you mentioned. I feel like it's more like the internet infrastructure is not there yet to like really support this. Because if, like, theoretically, if the internet everywhere was 5G, everywhere, this could enable lower income people to check out higher, like all these things we're talking about. The reality, though, it's just not there yet.
Right. But I mean, it is possible, right, for someone who has no way of playing games to maybe play some games using cloud-based stuff, and that's cool. And like, it is an interesting delivery mechanism. Like you said, the ability to instantly start playing a game without installing it or whatever could definitely break down some barriers for like of entry for people into like indie games, for example, where like, I don't really want to have to install this game and like go through that whole effort to try this game out. But if I can just be like, oh, hit this button and just play a level of our game before before you do anything, that I would do that with
God,
like any game.
I would so love for you to do that instead of watch our trailer,
Right,
and I'm sure so many indie games would totally feel that way.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it could even make it so you don't have to make a trailer. And as we know from experiences, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. Yeah, imagine if like you just went to a person's page, and then at the top it was just like press A and you were immediately in the level.
And I mean,
like,
we did have this a bit with Unity being able to run in the browser. Some Unity games were able to run in browsers for a little while. We've sort of moved away from that. I don't see that as much anymore. But there was a few years there where a lot of games that were coming out, at least in Unity, they were running in the browser as well as on like desktop applications, and you could try them in the browser, but no longer.
Anyway, yeah, we'll see. I do wonder if like it would be important. The last thing I'll say about this, we talked about the degradation of like the gameplay experience if you have bad internet. Like, they should have something, so if they detect your internet drops below some threshold, they say, like, basically in good polite PR way of saying, this game doesn't fucking suck, it's your internet that fucking sucks.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's complicated.
That'd be the only thing.
All right.
Well, right on.
Where can people find us?
You can find us at koalaentertainment.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, including, most importantly, our Discord, where big things are right around the corner. Our patrons just got their latest update. On our website, you can find a link to our Patreon. You get a ton of benefits, including behind the scenes content, which is going to really heat up here soon. Let's just say from here to the end of September is going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting for everybody. And you want to be inside the Discord. You want to be inside the Discord. We also do giveaways there every 3 weeks. We do giveaways on Instagram. And yeah, check us out on all our social media, TikTok, Twitter, @KOKoala_ENT.
Thanks for watching. Love you all.
Muchas gracias.
Have a good week. See you guys next week. Let us know topics you want us to talk about. Goodbye.